Cockroaches, private credit, shadow banking. Here is a little peek into what made the markets freak this past week. I just unintentionally made a little poem. So there are some red flags in the private credit sector. You're like, what is private credit? That means loans outside of the traditional bank. So you have big funds, big private equity companies and investors making loans directly to companies and individuals. This sector is fairly unregulated. Private credit does not have to adhere to the same underwriting standards that big banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs do. So there's some risk involved, but this has also been a booming area for private investors over the last few years. And they have plenty of borrowers. I know y'all have seen these guys on social. Yeah, you know the ones funding their Section 8 and Airbnb real estate empires with private loans? Those guys. But everything cannot just go straight up all the time, especially if you're piling on risk. The first crack to appear was from First Brands, which is an auto supply parts company. They had been on a debt-funded acquisition spree, and they recently filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy with about $10 billion in debt. There was also a couple billion that just vanished, and investigators are looking into fraud allegations right now. Then Zions Bancorp and Western Alliance also disclosed loan fraud losses. The allegations were that investors borrowed funds to finance their purchase of distressed commercial mortgage loans. So the market got spooked by the hidden debt, risky loans, and weak controls that these three companies exposed. And this led Jamie Dimon to mention that where there's one cockroach, there's usually a few more. For now, the risk appears to be contained, but this is definitely something to keep an eye on in the broader market.